Hi, and welcome to the last video here about Metasploit. We're going to do the one on TryHackMe, and we're going to talk more in depth about the Meterpreter today. And so let me just recap a bit. So the very first video we did was like the introduction to Metasploit. Then we did a post-exploitation about Metasploit, and now we're going to talk more about the Meterpreter. So today we're going to use the Meterpreter to do privilege escalation on a Windows machine. And yes, you heard it right, Windows machine. That is a bit odd for me to say, but it is, in this particular case, a Windows machine. Now, when having a Meterpreter shell running, it is kind of easy to do that, in all honesty. So, just briefly going to go through some of these commands here. So when you have a Meterpreter shell, this is about the example below is a target Windows machine exploited using the MS17001 there you go. And then they basically talk about that we're gonna find out what kind of process ID we have running as. Which kind of process ID are we running as? And that's gonna be identified by running the command called get PID. It should be kind of easy to understand, the PID for process. And let's say we process 1304. If you go ahead and type PS, you can go ahead and get a overview of different process IDs, and you see the 1304 down here below as a spool one, which is, if I'm not mistaken, something about a printer or something like that. So we are NT authority system. Now, if we was not that, then we were able to do different kind of things like migrate to another process, which we will talk about in just a few moments. We can also go ahead and do a better overview of the tasks running if you want, for example, the different kind of DLL files we're using for this particular process here, and that should be run with this command here and the different parameters. Then we can get an overview if you want to do something about the DLL files. So if you have a certain idea that some of them can be misused in some way, then of course you can try and replace it, but that is kind of more than just advanced. I'm not going to cover those kind of things. So now we cover that part, we're going to go ahead and talk about the different flavors of Metasploit. And talking about different kind of flavors, in this particularly introduction, that is the one we did already. So I'm not logged in. I am not logged in. Let me just do that pretty quick. So the introduction is one we did the very first time, and then we did the post-exploitation with Metasploit, which is this one, or just exploitation. And now we're going to do the one called Meterpreter. So we're going to take the special step by step. So different kind of flavors here is something they talk about, different kind of payloads you can create with MSF Venom, list payloads, and different kind of payloads depending on where Linux, Java, Apple OS, Android, and so on. In this particular case, we have grabbed the one that's going to give you a Meterpreter shell. So that's really something you would really like to have. Now, every time you can get a Meterpreter shell in Metasploit, it basically means that you can exploit a big variety of different kind of commands that can be really useful for you. For example, you can run commands to start the web camera or take a picture, see what people are doing directly on the desktop, or even the sound and stuff like that. So quite powerful, and it's built in the Meterpreter shell, which is a graphical interface linked directly to the reverse shell on the machine you're attacking. There are different kind of platforms available, and you can see them there. In this particular case here, we're talking about if you're not using Metasploit, the standalone payload generator, so you can choose to be limited by the exploit, and this is, by the way, the one probably going to use, I guess, in this room as well, the Eternal Blue, which is easy enough to showcase Metasploit with. Showing payloads again one more time can, with that, give a different kind of payloads. also custom if that is something you would like to do, to shell bind, to reverse and stuff like that. Now, as you remember, it's a stage payload. They have these divided four slashes. So first Meterpreter, then you bind. Stuff like shell reverse, it's a single exploit, a standalone, what are you going to call that? And I guess that's really, for now, it about the flavors. So different kind of Meterpreter commands. So whenever you have it running, so this is all about, you have access already. You can go ahead and type help, and then you get, I think, from the top of the help output, you can see the core commands, just like stuff like, BG run, execute a Meterpreter script as a background thread, BG kill kills a background Meterpreter script, and so on. If you go further down, you see stuff like Meterpreter provide you 3 different primary categories of tools, so built-in commands, Meterpreter tools, and Meterpreter scripting. If you run help one more time, you can find them listed in these different categories. Now, the one that's probably going to be most interesting for most of you guys is going to be webcam and audio output. But the elevate commands are also quite interesting to look at. Taking a brief look at some of the core commands, you can see stuff like background, exit, help, info, stuff we used in the other videos, but you also see the one called migrate right there. And this allows you to migrate to another process. Now, thinking about it one more time, as we listed all the processes by running the command ps, which is the one here on the system command, list running processes. Then with the one called migrate, it's going to attempt to jump shell through a certain way. I don't know exactly how they coded it, so I cannot really say much about it. But it is trying to migrate, to upgrade your own privilege, to jump to another process. And then the way you can think about jumping from one box to another. All the different system commands, the one you're going to use for search for files, upload and download files, remove, output stuff, networking commands, just such as the ARP resolution protocol, cache, ifconfig, netstat, and port forwarding and route and stuff like that. Different kind of system commands you see here down below is something to clear your event log, which is a part of the clearing your tracks after you did kind of stuff. Execute different commands, stuff like that. I want to be honest, the ones that I probably use the most when I use Metasploit was PS and shell, because that is the one that's going to list your processes, and you can go ahead and migrate to another process, and whenever you get system admin, well, you're kind of done, right? All different kind of important fun commands could be doing some keyboard buffering, so you can record everything's being typed. You can also verify whether a user is logged on and not doing anything. It's called idle time. Or see the screenshot of the interactive desktop. Sometimes it can be important to see what is the user actually doing if there's no idle time. Could be writing a document, and that could actually give you some really good ideas about what's going on. Alright, so let's complete this. So let's continue to the post-exploitation with Meterpreter. Last tab. So in this particular one here, we're going to talk about, you are having yourself a running shell, right? So you wanna do post-exploitation. Now, it's important to understand that post-exploitation is done whenever you did the amount of reconnaissance of the system to do it. So every time you get a step further in the phase of hacking and what you're going to do, you always go back and say, so can I now see more? Maybe you elevated your privileges to a somewhat user that is on the same level as you, but you're not really sure if that user can see more than you and stuff like that. Then you're going to have another reconnaissance phase with that particular user before you maybe try and get root. Now, if you have a root user or a system admin user, well, then in all honesty, just get what you want to get. So if that's the passwords for the system, you're going to dump all the data, whatever you're going to do, that is what you're going to do. So in this particular case here, we're going to take you through some images. You're trying to get your own UID, so you are NT authority system. Really good. So we're going to go ahead and run the Okay, so the text up here actually says that, this will give you an idea of your possible privilege level on the system. Like, are you an admin level user, like end user of the system, or a regular user? Now, being authority system is not a bad idea, because then you can access pretty much, well, most of the things. So ps command is going to run, going to list all the processes here, and you can see different kind of users run these kind of processes, and basically you are a really good start here being NT authority system. So what you could do now is go ahead and run migrate, and if you do that, you migrate into the process called 716, which is the one right here. And then you migrate to that process. Sometimes, I want to be honest about this, I experienced that migrating to another process with the same user there change something sometimes. I cannot really explain it because I'm not really the best Windows user in the world, but it's just something I remember sometime, So if you're going to migrate, you interact with it, and for example, if you see a word process running the target, like Word and Notepad, you can migrate to and start capturing keystrokes. So that is really something you need to think about. Whenever you migrate to a process, you are in reality a part of that process. And that process is being run by a user. And if you are part of a process that, this particular case is this LSAS, whatever that is. But if you see something like Notepad, you can migrate to it and you can just record everything being typed in that process. Please bear in mind that, that keystrokes are tied to a process depending on whether you use a standard in or standard out, but that's a different thing in this particular case. So really, you can see all the keystrokes in such a way, and you can use the different commands: key strike, key scan start, stop, and dump to see whatever was typed. So it says be careful, you might use your privilege if you migrate from a higher privilege user system to a process started with a lower privilege user, for example web server, and you may not get your higher privilege user back. But of course you don't really want to do that. Sometimes you maybe want to do that depending on what your goal is, and assuming that you want to a particular thing from the server from a lower privilege user process, and of course you need to do it, but be careful, you might not get it back. Hash dump, something we already looked at. You just type it and it's going to dump the hashes, and this is the NTLM hashes, as you can see, the new technology LAN manager. And then basically you can decrypt them, but I mean, not decrypt, but you can crack them, right? So we're going to use the search command and search for stuff like F for file, for flag, or if you know there's something called businesssecrets.docx, go ahead and type that. Now if you want a particular shell running, like a normal system shell, a Windows command line prompt, just go ahead and type shell and you're going to get that. Now that we covered that, we already started the machine, and we can see that what is the computer name and stuff like that, and we can see that we can, so we're gonna do, so Meterpreter provides several important post-exploitation tools, commands, get system hash dump, load Python, then you can execute stuff like different kind of things. So it says like finally you can use the load command to leverage additional tools such as Kiwi or even the whole Python language. So that is a part of Meterpreter, so it's really powerful. If you have the Meterpreter shell running, it's even more powerful than just having a normal shell like C:\\, normal one. So the post-exploitation phase have several goals that we talked about. Was gather further information about the system, looking for interesting files, user potential, additional level interface, so on. Because what you really have is a false way in by a exploit. So what you really want to do is try to get a real login, so you don't need to do it by exploit because it's easier to detect. Privask or lateral movement. It says once any additional tool is loaded using the load command, you can see new options with the help menu, and that is really important to know. So if you load Kiwi, which is I think from what I remember, old days you started Mimikatz and you're going to load Kiwi. and Kiwi is for retrieving credentials and for Kerberos, whatever, or Kermit, LTNM, SSP, different kind of credentials. You can also dump the SAM database on the Windows, so that's I think it's users. I think you have to try and change the password, Wi-Fi stuff, and so on. So it's a really powerful tool, Kiwi. Now the question below, so really you can use the credential flow to simulate an initial compromise with the SMB, so we can go ahead and use exploit Windows disk. So let's go ahead and go back. We're gonna clear this one here and type MSF console, gonna start it up. I will close down the other tab that I kind of didn't close from before. So we're gonna load up the Metasploit framework, and then we're just gonna basically go ahead and load that exploit. And we need to get the ballin and password 1 because we're just gonna get access. So use, no, please copy paste, gods, do what I say. Use that, and then you're gonna show options as we talked about. And let's see, localhost if config. We get, so this is my localhost IP address because I'm using a OpenVPN connection. So let's do a, oh sorry, forgot about something. We also have the module options. That's going to be the SMB share and the user. So we're going to take the user here and say set, and it would be ballin, so ballin and set SMB password as password 1. Let's do that. That should enable me to do a run. Let me just check pretty fast here. Where did that go? Did I really manage to make it that small? Interesting. What? Where did it go? Wow. I don't know how I did that, but I clicked something. So let me just type run now, and the following options. Oh, remote host, I forgot to put that in. So we're gonna take this. Now we didn't create a workspace for this particular one, so I'm just gonna put it in and type run. So executing the payload, and things are going. And sending stage is a stage payload or Meterpreter shell. So now we can go ahead and do info. What is it exactly we should answer, by the way? Let's see, the computer name. Alright, so let's go ahead and type help for now. Then we're gonna get forgot the command because there's so many to remember, so let's just do system info. So let's execute that, and computer name is called acme test. The target domain would be flash. What is the name of the shares likely created by user? The hint would be use this particular module. You will need the background first, so I'm gonna copy that, and you can just go ahead and type background and use this. Use. Let me just do one more time. Copy that. Very interesting that copy pasting sometimes is highly difficult. Show options. And we're gonna set session to 1. Now I know it is 1 because of sessions, so we run it. And the name would probably be Speedster. I would guess that would be the perfect name for whatever interesting share was created. what is the NTML hash of JB whatever. So let's go back and say sessions, tag I1, and do a hash dump. And let's parameter is incorrect. So let's try and get system to elevate our privileges. You're already system, that's really good. And I cannot do that. As we talked about before, if you cannot run the one called hash dump, you can go ahead and try and do a migrate. So let's go ahead and try and do that. So let's do ps migrate, and then let's migrate to the process of this one here. So 772, migrating from one process to another, and it's looking pretty easy. So let's do hash dump now, and we're gonna get it. This is the hash, that one right there. So let's copy paste it, put it in. What is the clear text password? What is the hash of J Chambers? Did I take the wrong one more time? Typical me. So in order to do that, you can go ahead and put it into crack stations. So let's do that. It's probably just an easy password, so no reason to trust no one. It fits. Where's the secret text file located? So let's go ahead and no. This is the thing with copy pasting. It's highly difficult. Let's do a copy on that. Go and do a search, tag F, secret text. And while we wait for that, we can go ahead and check another question. What is the Twitter password revealed? So that's fine. Where is real secret located? What is real secret? So let's go ahead and just wait for this for a bit. It's gonna take a while sometimes, depending on the speed of your connection. So let's see where it goes. Alright, so Sage came back, and now we have the file here. It's in C program files, Windows Multimedia Platform secret.txt. Let's put that in. And they don't wanna. What is the problem with this? Interesting. I don't want that answer. So let's go back and just do a download of that, I guess. Let's do a shell now. Let's go into this, do a dir, and type out the same as cat. And we see that the secret password is this one, so let's copy paste it. And now we're going to talk about finding the real secrets, so let's copy paste that. And once more time, we can see that it suggests we're going to use the search, tag F, and do a, we can do this, for example, this time. And do an exit, go back to Meterpreter and execute that. So instead of looking for everything more or less, we're just going to check for the actual real secret. So while this runs, let's go ahead and check out what was the issue with this. I don't think there was any issue. Still have it, right? Capitalized? No. Well, it returned. And the real secret is located right there. Let's take that and put it in there. That's very interesting. We don't want to accept any of the answers that I give it. Let's just for now Right, chill. And let's go to this particular path here. And then type out real secret.txt. And okay, so they want the whole text. Silly text. I'm just quickly gonna check what is the problem with the path that I gave it. Where is the real secret file located? There. Is it without? Oh, it's without. Okay, I see. So now we completed the room. We successfully did a post-exploitation using Meterpreter, and we got ourselves a new process. We migrated and everything. So I'm going to terminate machine and say that I really hope you liked the video. And now that we did a full 3 step-by-step videos about Metasploit, so introduction, post-exploitation, and then Meterpreter is also post-exploitation, but it's going to be more in-depth in this video. So I'm going to see you again online and hope you learned something.